Welcome back. Today we will talk about the relation between initial velocity, final velocity, displacement, uniform acceleration and time t. Let's assume that a particle starts at this initial point with an initial velocity vi, travels for a time t and reaches this final point with a final velocity v final and with an acceleration a. Uniform acceleration means the acceleration will not change with time, it is constant value. And then it displaces s. So what are the relations between these? Let's see. We have already seen that the acceleration a is equal to v final minus v initial over time t, and the units are meter per second squared. It's a vector quantity. And we have seen what the relation between displacement and velocity. But if velocity changes, then we got to have a change. So the change is s is equal to v initial times t plus 1/2 acceleration time t squared. This is displacement with respect to initial velocity, time and acceleration. So if you are given initial velocity and you are given the time of travel with an acceleration a, then the displacement is s is given by this particular equation. Whereas you are given initial velocity and final velocity and time t, then the acceleration value is given by this. And we already know that displacement is measured in meters. So these are the prime equations in solving problems. Apart from this, you have one more equation. That is, if you can rearrange these two equations by eliminating time t from these two equations, then you get displacement s is equal to v final square minus v initial square over 2 times acceleration a. This is your displacement if time is not given, but initial and final velocities are given and acceleration is given. So this equation will lead to solve many problems in one-dimensional motion. Remember, this acceleration is uniform. That means it does not change its value with respect to time. And we are talking about an interval time t and displacement s with respect to this interval. And then we have the relation like this. So these equations are very important in solving problems. Question is, if a is equal to 0, that is if this acceleration is 0, you know that is possible only when v initial is equal to v final. If these two are equal, then this becomes 0 and a becomes 0. That means uniform velocity. So if acceleration is 0, velocity is uniform. And if velocity is uniform, then a is 0 here, then s is v times t. And acceleration is 0, s becomes infinite. But you know v final, v initial is both are equal, so it becomes 0. So therefore we don't use this equation. We use this equation putting a is equal to 0 if it is uniform velocity. But if it is uniform acceleration and acceleration is not 0, we got to use 1, 2, 3. These three equations depending upon the question asked. Alright. Thank you.